What is going on, you guys? Alright. I'm rubbing my hands like Birdman. Man, I've been wanting to talk about like a full-on review of this movie since I first saw it. This is my review of the 2024 version of Mean Girls. Okay, let's get the obvious out of the way. It's a remake. So the story is pretty much the same. Instead of just rehashing the story, let's just talk about the differences. Just the differences. Okay, so first of all, Regina's downfall is all the more satisfying because I think that she's more malice in this version. I'll get into that later on. And in this version, Janice is actually gay. But in this version, it makes it all the more tragic. Because the rumor that Regina started was that Janice was gay for her. And how it started was a plushie doll that she gifted Regina when they were best friends. Had a rainbow pin on it as a way of coming out. And all this... blah, 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 blah. And Regina disowns Janice, and Janice wanted the plushie back, so she set it on fire. And then Regina's backpack got on fire. And then Janice was kicked out of school for the rest of the year. And pretty much, instead of coming out and saying that she was a lesbian to the teachers and explaining that it was basically that Regina had committed a hate crime, she just seemed crazy because in Janice's mind, because she came out to somebody that did that to her, in her mind, she's afraid that the teachers will treat her the same way as Regina. So you can kind of understand Janice's malice toward Regina. One of the best things about this movie is how evil Regina is and how she steals Aaron. She leads into it with a song, and you can see the look on her face that she's trying to be poker face the whole time and slither around the party, and then you know what she's gonna do because of the original, but because the song is slow paced and prolonging the inevitable, you know what she's gonna do, but not when she's gonna do it. And that literally made me squirm in my seats. Like, me and my cousins were all squirming in our seats, waiting for it to happen. And when it did, on one hand, we were glad that the anticipation was gone, but heartbroken that Regina backstabbed Katie the way she did. And honestly, the biggest difference is that it's a musical. In fact, the girl playing Regina in this version played her on Broadway. The girl playing Janice, the voice of Moana. So a lot of musical talent is in this movie. One thing that the original needed was the deleted scene I mentioned in my review of the first one. Here's a chopped up version of the scene I'm talking about.
I'm sorry about the bus. I feel like it's all my fault.
No, it's not your fault.
But yeah, I forgive you.
I'm just here to add something in between so I don't get copyrighted.
Look, I know I have to change.
And you might be thinking that I'm nitpicking, but hey, I'm giving a review of a movie. It's my job to nitpick. It's my job. So, in the original, that scene wasn't in there. So you could assume that because Katie tore up the crown and then gave the pieces to all the girls that she could, because there's only so many pieces to go around, and one of those girls was Regina, you could argue that that's when they buried the hatchet. But no, in this version, Not only does it show how they buried the hatchet, but because they buried the hatchet, this happened.
Because they think I pushed someone in front of a bus.
It's not your fault. A bus pushed me.
Why wasn't that in the original? Regina clears Katie's name. And I guess in this version it makes more sense because they buried the hatchet prior. If the scene was cut, you'd be like, well, it's kind of like Bluto standing up for Popeye. It makes sense, but you gotta explain it. But anyway, so one of the best scenes showing that Regina is getting what she deserves is when they're doing the dance for the talent show. And because of Regina's weight gain, she screws it up. And everyone starts laughing at her, pointing fingers like, she's not popular, she's fat, she messed up, Whereas in this version, it shows how social media plays a part in the movie, mainly because Karen is on TikTok all the time. And it shows like so many people around the school having like a poll of who they like more between Katie and Regina. And it shows Katie's ascension into basically being the new Queen Bee. Point where when this classic scene happened,
You can't stay with us!
time out. How is it in the original Lacey said it louder and nobody around them took notice? Again, nitpick. Moving on. But you can tell that over time, once Katie starts to become more like Regina, she starts dressing like her. And you see subtle hints of her acting like Regina in the original, but in this version, when she does this,
Sorry, Regina. Rules are rules.
oh yeah, she's the full-on Queen Bee in this one. Regina's downfall is all the more satisfying, whereas in the original, it's just like one person calls her fat one time, and then it's implied that she's losing her popularity. In this one, it shows it's on display that she's losing it. So overall, the story, very entertaining, very well worth the remake. Regina, obviously, I've gone over her character and how evil she is and all that. And the only time her being mean, I'll actually let it go, is this scene. I think I said it in the original, my review of the original. I'm a massive shipper of Gretchen and Jason. I ship them together in the original. And it was kind of satisfying to see them get back together. And in this version, they stay together throughout most of the movie. So I gotta give them that. But it's hardly ever on display or ever talked about. Katie in this version, how can I say this without being mean? Angori, yeah, I think that's how you say her name. It's pronounced Angari. Yeah, I was in fact saying it wrong. The actress, she's very, very beautiful. But she just doesn't have that angelic glow that Lindsay Lohan had. Janice. Alright, with Janice, as I said, she's my favorite character in this movie because, first of all, the fact that she's actually gay makes her victory at the end all the more satisfying. I think I've heard people say that in middle school when they were bullied because people thought they were gay, it would affect them differently if they actually were gay. I can actually see it in this version. Because Janice full-on is gay. And toward the end, she just accepts it and owns it. And plus, when she sings a song, I'd Rather Be Me, during the classic lead up to Regina getting hit by the bus, I like how the filmmakers did that. I like how they're like, oh yeah, you know the bus scene? Yeah, we're not going to do it the same way this time. In fact, come with us. In fact, come with us to see this segment that was not in the original. Let's show you a dance number. Let's show you a singing number. Let's bedazzle the audience. I love how they don't do the exact same thing in every scene. And it's mainly Janice. She brings that bubbly energy. Like, you can definitely feel like she's having a blast in this scene. She's having a whole lot of fun playing this character and this song, and she just brings the song to life. Now it's time to get to the segments I know that y'all are probably waiting for. Okay, so this version of Gretchen, I'll admit the song that she sings when she's looking for the shoes to give Katie in this version, the song that she sings, you definitely feel sorry for her. And it kind of replaces the sympathy that you feel for her when she finally cracks. But in this version, when she cracks, she's not like, oh, crying and crying and crying. She's just plain up angry. Sort of like how Lacey was in the original, when she was starting out angry while giving a book report in class and basically snapping and then resulting to tears in the bathroom. Yeah, that's gone in this version. In this version, she's just straight up mad, and that's when like Regina rats on Regina, not only making fun of Katie because of the shoes, but also because like she rats on Regina in a way that makes a lot more sense in this version. And when she rats on Katie, it makes more sense in this version because it shows that if anything, she fears Regina's temper. If anything, you actually see the look on her face like she's scared of Regina, and she makes that perfectly clear. And in this version, I'll give her this. She dumps Jason.
I know. I knew the whole time.
No, we are done. And you will regret this when you're old because I am freaking Fetch.
And she uses Fetch after being yelled at by Regina. After Regina yells at her, after they do the dance for the talent show and it goes off without a hitch. When Regina yells at her that it won't happen, that Fetch will never happen, she never uses Fetch again. And in this version, honestly, this is something my girl cousins pointed out, so BB, please don't come at me. It's just something that my girl cousins pointed out. I believe the exact words were from my cousin Amber saying, damn, all those actresses are gorgeous. And seriously, check out the rack on Gretchen. Got the best tits out of all four of them. That's literally what Amber said. And the immediate thought that ran through my mind is, I agree with her, then that's kind of a bad look for me because...
I mean, that's just like the rules of feminism.
Thank you for that, Lacey. Anyway, so... another thing, again, I don't want to be mean, but it's not that BB Wood isn't gorgeous, because obviously she is, but her version of this character doesn't have that same like warm, welcoming aura that Lacey's version does. Maybe it's because I've been spoiled by Lacey's version of this character. I will say this version of Gretchen, it's in my top 10 favorite characters from Mean Girls. And she's in the top 5. In fact, she is number 5. But Lacey's version of the character will always be number 1. And the thing is, she has a beautiful voice. I think Lacey just has a better singing voice. But that could be because Lacey has more experience. So she's been professionally trained. And they both got their start on Broadway. And it really shows. I can definitely see BB going places. Overall, I absolutely love this version of Gretchen, and which kind of leads into what I didn't like was that Gretchen was not my favorite character in this one. And the fact that, again, the whole Regina talking smack about Gretchen and Karen behind their backs and them being shocked by it. If anything, these versions of the characters are dumber because Regina is outright mean to everybody, even them. In fact, especially them, especially Gretchen. And yet they're still shocked. Alright, so final thoughts. I definitely recommend this version. I absolutely love this version. And overall, I could see this winning an Oscar. And I'm pretty sure the Broadway show has won a Tony. I can definitely see the actress playing Regina in this version winning a Tony. She's that talented. But anyway, till next time, stay positive and stay awesome, you guys. See ya.